Hello everyone, O.A.K here from the Overwatch archive knowledge base Watchpoint O.A.K. We're back today with a special little video, our very first debrief. Debriefs are going to be short videos we'll be putting out on a weekly or bi-weekly basis that gives you a quick snapshot or analysis of something from the Overwatch universe. We're going to be kicking off with the debrief of Tracer London Calling Issue 1. Let's go! For those of you not in the know, Overwatch have recently finished a short arc in collaboration with Dark Horse Comics, focused on everyone's favourite time-skipping former test pilot, Tracer. The comics take us from just before the assassination of Takata Mondata through to the events immediately following his death and the shockwaves it sent through the Omnic population of London. So, the comic opens with this blurb. Years after Overwatch has been disbanded, the world finds itself beset by injustice and vulnerable to self-interested powers. Sentient, intelligent robots called Omnics still struggle in the decade since the Omnic crisis, demanding equality and an end to discrimination against their kind. The world needs heroes again, and heroes often come from unexpected places. We start with some really powerful panels showing the decay of the public image and opinion of Overwatch, starting with a fresh poster showing Tracer, and as the panels advance down we start to see the other posters covering it up, the edges frayed and peeling, before it's almost wholly lost. Tracer explains to us, the reader, many have seen her as a hero, but since the fall of Overwatch, she wasn't all too sure who she was herself. She knew she didn't suit the desk job the Royal Air Force had intended for her. She had to be on the move. We see how Tracer continues to do her part, trying to do good and help other people. She runs down a motorcyclist who steals a parcel off of someone, and on returning it is greeted by a small crowd who recognise her as Tracer, and ask if this act of kindness and heroism means that Overwatch is back. You get a feeling that even though Overwatch was disbanded in disgrace, many regular folks continue to hold precious memories of the good it had once served. Back at her flat, Tracer hangs out with her girlfriend Emily. One panel I especially love shows some photos on the wall, one being of Tracer and Mercy struggling to contain an out-of-control barbecue. Others show Winston and Genji, and you can tell Tracer has many fond memories of those days and her friends. She explained to Emily that though this wasn't Overwatch, helping people is still what she wants to be doing. So, the next day, we're with Tracer as she buys the classic album London Calling by The Clash on vinyl. Stepping outside, there's a disturbance as police chase after a group of Omnics. All the while, a hooded Omnic anxiously stays out of the fray, clutching a box. Spotted by the police, this Omnic makes a run for it, but is caught up with by Tracer, and it transpires the Omnic has stolen a bit of technology they desperately need to repair something called the Grid, and only stole it because the humans won't sell it to her, being an Omnic. The Omnic compliments Tracer on her taste of music, and we're introduced to her as being called Iggy, probably so named for rock and punk icon Iggy Pop. Tracer and Iggy immediately hit it off, with Iggy taking Tracer back to her place to check out her music collection. Along the way, we get to see the underworld, the Omnic slums beneath the streets of King's Row, where most of London's Omnics are forced to live. We also learn that the Grid is a bit of tech that keeps the Omnics of the underworld connected and powers their homes. Back at Iggy's place, we're introduced to two of her friends, Lady and Lizzie. The flat is filled with vintage vinyls and music posters covering the walls. Iggy, Lady and Lizzie seem to share similar tastes in music, and the three of them, with Tracer, spend some time listening to some tunes. We learn that it was a colleague of Iggy's that had introduced her to rock music years earlier, and that she and her friends all share an appreciation of human music. Later, we follow Iggy and Tracer as they make their way back to the surface, with Tracer apologising for running after her, explaining that she understood why she stole the parts she had. It was a matter of survival. Tracer assures Iggy that they'll be hanging out more before setting off back home. On her way home, Tracer is stopped by a group of Omnics from the underworld. They attempt to apprehend her to question her about why she'd been in the underworld in the first place, and when Tracer refuses, they start shooting at her. Tracer, though, is on it like a bonnet, zipping around them, chrono-skipping backwards, and disarming them with their own guns, but not harming any of them. She stresses to them that she was just helping her friend, but the Omnics want none of it. She's told in no uncertain terms that she isn't welcome in the underworld, and that no Omnic needs the help from a human, ending ominously on "This does not end here." And so, there we have it, issue 1 of Tracer London Calling. You know, actually it was only after reading it that I clocked that the title comes from the album that Tracer buys, London Calling by The Clash. I don't know how I hadn't clocked that earlier. I really enjoyed reading this comic. It was a great snapshot into Tracer's life after Overwatch, and it gives us a lot more context to King's Row following the events of Uprising. London really starts to feel like a powder keg, the divisions and distrust between Omnics and humans running pretty deep. As a gay man, part of the LGBT community, I especially like that we got to see a little more of Tracer's girlfriend, Emily. I also like a little bit early on where one guy says something like, "Oh, I can't wait to tell my husband about this." It's nothing major, but it just made me smile. It isn't often you see LGBTQ plus relationships being mentioned in like small background details like that. And so that was really, really lovely to see. Just a small detail, but it made me smile. We are given a tease of the next issue, which goes, as Tracer searches for parts to repair the Omnic's grid, she attracts the attention of two very different Omnic leaders. Case, who distrusts humans, and Mondata, who dreams of human-Omnic equality. But at his rally, Tracer discovers just how fragile Mondata's dream is. I think it's pretty clear that this means the next issue will follow the events that surround the assassination of Takata Mondata at the hands of Widowmaker, which we see in the animated short Alive, which I'll link in the description if you haven't seen it, though I'm sure this far into Overwatch you've all seen it. So there we have it, folks. I can't wait to dive into the next issue and share our next debrief with you all. Until then, thanks for watching, and don't forget to like, share and subscribe. Invest some talent points in that bell icon if you want notifications, and share this with your fellow Overwatch or Talon agents. Until next time, folks, take care and remember that the world could always do with more heroes.